3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
What's up, everybody? It is Jaden and Steve here on the AMP Podcast, Adventure and Activity Marketing Pros.
What is happening?
What's up? I mean, not much, man. Not much. It's I've been tired. I got moved into the house.
It's a struggle. Moving is the worst. I don't envy anybody who has to move. I've said my next move, I'm going to be at a point where I can just pay somebody to come pack everything up and do it for me.
I know.
I never want to move again.
It's totally a thing. So this is kind of funny because we were talking about this, about TVs and stuff like that. I see on new TVs now you can put the pictures, you know what I mean, on the wall, like where it's like the art gallery thing.
Yeah, put it on picture mode.
I thought that was kind of dumb, but I think that's kind of cool now.
It's cool unless you've got stuff in your camera reel you shouldn't have in your camera
Well, you
reel.
could just download, like, it's a whole model of like Samsung TVs. Like you pay to pick a picture, like an art.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of like the NFT thing. You know what I mean now?
Nobody knows what that means.
I'm not going to put, I was going to buy the LeBron James, like his dunk, and then it's just going to play on loop.
You should do that. You should spend whatever. It's probably $1,000 for that NFT.
It's just a number, right? Just make it up.
It's just made up Bitcoin numbers or whatever.
Where is Bitcoin at?
It's high at 63 grand today.
Is it? You think it's going to go to 1 million? Or whatever $1 million is just like an absurd number.
If it goes to 1 million.
Like, wouldn't everybody be fucking rich? Like,
yeah, don't call me. Don't call me, bitch. I'm rich.
That's funny. So I was messing with that. I got my TVs hung. Did some home improvement projects.
That's all like moving is. It's basically one giant home improvement project.
Yeah, we got to give a shout out. Yesterday or a couple days ago was National Pet Day. So Tito Edwards, he made the gram.
Tito was famous that day.
He made the gram. Everybody was getting the love on him.
He gets a lot of love as it is, but yeah, he's a photogenic little pup.
He is a photogenic little. He is.
Yeah, because he's always happy. He's always smiling. He's happy to be here. I mean, he didn't make it today. He has a vet appointment this afternoon because he got his balls snipped off, which is sad if you're a dog. But
we'll throw him a little party or something.
Yeah, throw him a little
welcome back party.
Yeah, but he'll be back. He'll be back tomorrow.
That's cool. So listen to this. So I was. Well, honestly, actually, this podcast we're sponsored.
Dude, we got a sponsor.
We got a sponsor.
Is it like Learjet type money sponsor, or is this like our first sponsor type?
That's like our first sponsor. I mean, they said they listened to the podcast. It was good. It was fun. It's in our vertical of marketing. It's in our vertical of tourism. Okay. But honestly, we ain't gonna fluff it. You know what I mean? Like, I want sponsors of this podcast of things that we actually like.
Well, sure. I mean, unless it was like Diet Coke could sponsor us. But
you like it.
I do like that, but I don't feel like they're probably going to sponsor us. It's probably not our niche. I mean.
But PicThrive. So PicThrive.
Really?
Yeah. We were talking about pictures, too. It's kind of all comes together.
Well, I mean, I know we chatted with him, like what was it, last week or whatever, and it's interesting. I had my doubts. I have to be very honest. I had my doubts going into it because I was like, does anybody really need this? But I'm pretty convinced after going into it where I can see some value.
Well, not only like some value, like the analytics, the marketing profiles, like why it makes sense for an agency. Like sometimes we talk about it too, and I think I bring ideas to your table, and you're like, "Oh, that doesn't make sense." So nobody's going to use that or whatever. And I'm like, "No, it actually kind of makes sense here."
I really had my doubts about it. I mean, I think I'm far more convinced of what it does. And hey, if they want to be our sponsor, I'm an even bigger fan, guys. Put PicThrive on your stuff. It's the best thing, best shit ever.
Yeah, so check it out. So PicThrive, PicThrive.com. PicThrive is everything you need to sell pictures and videos online before the tour, after the tour. You can buy from home, from check-in to checkout and beyond. Capture every sale with PicThrive. If you guys are interested in getting a live demo, you can go to their website, click Get Live Demo. They can schedule it with you. We did a live demo. It was awesome. The cool thing about it is it helps your guest relive the magic. It's simply the best part of the retail experience. Easy to use. Grow sales. Retail power. Make sales from everywhere because, you go on that trip and grandma, you know what I mean, was like, hey, I'm going to buy y'all a trip to go rafting. And then what do you got to do? You just got to send pictures to grandma afterwards. So,
dude, you know how serious I am about my Instagram.
Yeah. So you're going to post it on your Instagram, but why not send grandma some photos?
Well,
put her email in, buy it for grandma at $29 or whatever they're going to charge you for it. Send it to grandma, send it on down the line, and grandma will get it instantly in her inbox right away.
I care way more about my social clout.
Well, do you know what you can do with your social clout? The great thing about this as well is with PicThrive is you can actually share your photos instantly to social media platforms, and you can check them out. Upload them on Instagram, upload them on Facebook, share them on your website.
Would this make me an influencer?
You know what? It could make you an influencer. So with PicThrive, you have a better chance of becoming an influencer because your photos are going to look great and they're going to look awesome. So check out PicThrive.com for more information.
You know, where was it? And we discussed it on a previous podcast. Where is it in Mexico? Where all the chicks have gone?
Tulum.
Tulum should have a PicThrive. For Tulum. Like, you showed up in Tulum.
I think PicThrive's going to hire me after that read I just did.
That was a solid read. I mean, if that doesn't get you, guys, we're accepting applications for sponsorship after that read. If that doesn't get you guys like excited,
that was the best read. Yeah, if anybody wants me to do their read, like I'm good at doing those reads.
Look him up on Fiverr.
Yeah.
Hit him up on Fiverr for his commercial reads.
Just drop a DM direct. To me. But so PicThrive, so we did the demo, we went through, and honestly, it was, we do a lot of demos. It's not like we're just reaching out to PicThrive and whatever it is. We reach out to a lot of platforms, a lot of stuff's junk. You know what I mean? Sometimes there's a lot of junk out there. Stuff doesn't make sense. Like I said on this before on our podcast, like I said, I sound like Brian there. Like I said,
I said,
that was a good thing. But we checked it out. It was legit. It was real. So I totally think you should check it out. We're gonna bring on actually next here in actually a couple minutes. I'm just gonna get them added to this, but we're gonna actually bring a customer that uses PicThrive. It's Brandon from Glacier Raft Company. So let's talk to him and let's kind of.
This should be interesting because I know absolutely nothing about rafting. I'm a little bit scared of it.
I know. I don't know anything about rafting either.
Have you ever been rafting? No?
No, we talk. I don't know.
We both lived in Colorado. Neither of us have been rafting. Isn't that like what you do when you're in Colorado?
There's so many things that I haven't done in my life, Steve, and I'm almost having like midlife crises at my age.
Mid 30-year-old.
Because there's like things I should have done. So I'm gonna be that guy that's like living it off later. So
55.
Yeah. So let's talk more about PicThrive. Let's talk more with Brandon, an actual user of this, and let's bring him on the podcast.
Perfect.
All right, so we're actually going to bring in Brandon here, Brandon Gonski. He's actually from Glacier National Park Rafting or Glacier Raft Company. He is the general manager. I wanted to bring him on the show today because we were talking, and he kind of, PicThrive kind of mentioned that you're kind of like a brand ambassador for them and recommended that we should talk to you and get us on the podcast. So, hey, thanks for joining us today, Brandon.
Hey, Brandon, welcome, sir.
Thank you. Really appreciate you guys having me on.
Awesome. So we were looking at this and knowing a little bit about, you're up in Montana, correct? You're in Glacier.
Yes.
Is it Glacier, Montana, or what's the city where that is? Or is it Glacier Park?
West Glacier, Montana.
West Glacier. That's beautiful up there, I've heard, isn't it? Have you always lived there?
It is unreal up here. You should see the view out of my office window. But no, I haven't always lived here. I grew up in Alaska and grew up guiding and kayaking and exploring, and made my way down to Colorado over time. Worked for a big rafting company out there as a general manager, and actually just got up to Montana about 4 months ago.
Oh, okay. Awesome. So you guys, so before we go into a little bit of like your operations and stuff like that, you lived in Colorado and worked for a place that was pretty big as well. It was a pretty big operator, right? It was AVA, is that what it was?
Yeah. ABA rafting and zipline down in Colorado.
And that one's pretty huge, but this one's about just as big, isn't it? Tell us a little bit about how many, because we're not raft people.
I'm not. I'm actually a little terrified, so we're going to dig into that in a minute. But all I can, what is that? What is the show? Vacation, where they go on the bus and then they go tubing down the river, and the guide's having a bad day and takes them off the water bowl. That's kind of what I'm scared of. I mean, I'm sure that doesn't happen in real life, but that's what I got going on.
How many
here.
How many life jackets were you a guide too, or how many guides you guys got? And tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I was a guide. Used to be the dirtbag and lived in my car and spent every day just taking guests down the river and working for tips. But I don't do a whole lot of that anymore. We've got a fantastic team out here of about 95 raft guides and fishing guides.
Holy
95.
That is so many guides. I can't. 95 guides means that is not a small mom and pop's operation anymore.
Yep, we started 45 years ago. Okay. The original owner and founder's still here, but it looks a little different than it did back in 1976. We've got a bit of space and a lot of people.
So to that, I mean, just because I'm curious. What gets you into rafting? Like, how did you get started? Why is that your thing? Go on. Tell me that. That's what I'm curious about.
Sure. So I'd say for most people, there's two different paths. Either you were born into it, or someone got you excited while you were in college. So I was born into it. Okay. My dad was a raft guide in Colorado back in the early 80s, late 70s even. I'm probably saying he's older than he is. Hopefully he doesn't listen. But anyway, so I was born into it. I did my first rafting trip at 6 months old. I got a picture on my phone of that actually, and started guiding and teaching kayaking at 15 years old. Wow. So ran my first commercial trip when I couldn't drive myself to the river, and used it as a way to travel. That's really what keeps a lot of people excited about it, is you get to get out on the river and have a lot of fun. But I've lived in Ecuador, South Carolina, Oregon, Washington, Montana, Colorado, New Hampshire. To see the world, see the country.
So this is just being a raft junkie. So basically you're just chasing. So it's almost like being a rock climber. Rock climbers are the same, where they just end up going everywhere to climb rocks. I mean, you guys we're in Glacier, so there's some pretty interesting stuff up there to that regard. But you just get to travel all over and get in a raft, huh?
Yep. Yeah. Lifestyle is really similar to the rock climber. We just found a little bit of a better way to pay for it, I think.
Probably true. It's probably way harder to take people up on rock climbing than it is on whitewater rafting.
That is true, actually. That is is that kind of like a little inside joke on rock climbing and but rafting, that you have to they can make money on it. They make more money on it.
Do you guys troll rock climbers?
So when I worked in Colorado, one of the sections of the river we did actually went right by this Clear Creek Canyon, and we'd always see climbers up there, and I think we were having more fun than them, so we'd let them know.
I'm sure you guys are. Tips are probably better too.
That is true. So I was looking. So besides rafting, I mean, it looks like that you guys offer fly fishing, lodging, stuff like that as well, right? Is that correct? I know we were talking a lot about the rafting, but it looks like fishing is also in there too.
It appears to be a whole resort, lodging, outdoor store, Glacier Park, whole thing.
Yep. Yeah. All of the above there. We have a big wedding venue. We can sleep about 165 people on this property. We've got another property that sleeps another, 80.
Wow.
And then the fly fishing, we've got some ponds on property for the families and do a little learn to fly fish. We rent spin rods, and then the guided fly fishing here. And the Middle Fork of the Flathead is a pretty unreal river. And so we also do these multi-day trips. We fly into the wilderness, and we bring all your gear, put you on some rafts, and we'll take you out for 4 days, 5 days, and you don't see anybody but fish and bears.
So this is
hopefully not too many bears.
Wow. I mean, some people probably want to go see the bears, but this is some next level outdoor adventure tourism. Even the amount of stuff you guys are doing, and it's a lot of moving parts for a tour operator. And now you're a hotel, now you're multi-day, you're doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah. A like you said, a lot of moving parts, and that's really my job now. So I don't spend a whole lot of time in a boat on the river, at least not getting paid for it anymore. My job's to keep the grease, keep greasing the wheels,
Sure.
and can keep track of those 95 guides and the 100 plus support staff to move all the people, all of those guests to where they need to be when they need to be there.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah,
It's super impressive.
And so where we were talking, because we were talking about this earlier before we brought you on, we were talking about ways to and I thought that this is why it's a great thing, ways to capitalize on revenue that maybe that some tour operators haven't thought about, or they are doing, or they're not too sure about it. So we were actually introducing, we've known about it for a while through PicThrive, and you guys actually use PicThrive there at Glacier Raft, right? And you've actually been super familiar with it, and you as kind of the operation guy sees how that it makes you revenue by capturing, guest experiences. And then it's also a good add-on. I mean, it's a good way to use some of the marketing data with that as well. I mean, us as an agency understand that, and I know that you're pretty well versed in that. So maybe tell us a little bit, or let's kind of talk about that PicThrive kind of scenario of why you guys use it, why it makes sense, and maybe tell us maybe some ins and outs of it, and then we can kind of maybe look into the platform a little bit, because I know, Steve, you looked into it.
Yeah, I've messed with it a little bit. I've got obviously my own stuff, and then we've got some clients that I think it makes sense for. And after talking to PicThrive, I just think it makes, I was super excited to talk to you about it, because I think as an operator, you want to make sense of how this is going to bring more money in the door, and not be another tool you're paying for, or you have sitting around that you're not using or not getting the most out of. And when I heard how many photos and how much you guys are doing through it, I was pretty amazed. So here we are. So go ahead, Brandon. Talk to us about this.
Yeah. So PicThrive's really been a game changer for me. We've used it at 2 different companies now, and talked to a number of other people about how they've experienced with it. Because, like you said, getting into those logistics and all the moving parts that have to come together, there's a lot going on. So PicThrive does a lot to help with that. And then also the revenue. Guiding rafting trips is a lot of fun.
Sure.
And yes, when you run a lot of people, you bring in a lot of money, but you get to watch a lot of that money go right back out the door with all the support structure it takes. So buying rafts, buying buses, paying guides. So finding other ways to capture revenue is key. So we've really improved our retail component here at Glacier Raft over the past decade and a half, and pictures are a big part of that. So selling photos is not a revolutionary concept. We've all been to the amusement park, seen the pictures. Anybody who's been on a zipline tour, been rafting, ATVing, all those things, a lot of them sell pictures. That's not brand new, but simplifying the way to do it is really the key here, because you don't have time. It's not efficient to pay 5 people to go take one picture and get it to your customers. So with PicThrive, we've been able to simplify it where we get the picture. So we may pay a contractor, take the picture ourselves on the river, on the fishing trip, send it back. Sometimes we send it online. I've used that installation in some scenarios. Sometimes you want to just bring a hard copy of the photo back, but then you just send it right up to the PicThrive cloud. And so what that does is I've got tablets around the room in my retail space that a customer can come back and they type in the name of their guide, their pictures for that day of them on the water an hour ago are right there on the tablet for them. They can flip through it, see all the pictures, click a button, buy them, and it goes straight to their phone, their inbox, however they choose to get it. But everybody now is walking around with their smartphone and computer, and it's fun. You get that same day satisfaction instead of getting a CD that you have to go plug in and everything. Which who's got a CD drive and a computer on vacation with them? Maybe we've got our laptop, but
we don't even have one in our office.
Mine doesn't have a CD-ROM anymore.
Isn't that
so? We do that, and they get it, and then you get the marketing component, like you just said. People are excited, they get it, goes straight onto Instagram, straight onto Facebook.
Yep.
And isn't that funny too? We were talking about this. We like to have our little random side talks, but things that you don't use anymore, or that are just gone, like DVD. Like I watched the Blockbuster documentary. I don't know if you've seen that on Netflix, and like yeah, DVDs, when DVDs came out, I mean, for VHSs, people didn't even have VHS. Like, nobody's got a VHS or a DVD player at their house anymore.
We have an Xbox at our house, which is the only way to play a DVD. The other day, I needed one here because I had like an old DVD from back in the day. We quite literally do not have a computer that has a DVD drive or CD-ROM or anything.
What did you need a DVD for?
I got some fun videos from back in the day, back when I was an idiot, you know?
Yeah, that's funny.
But yeah, we have no way of playing it. So, but you know, now everybody wants that stuff so immediately on their phone. The PicThrive thing is super. I'm way more impressed with it now after messing with it and seeing how it works and seeing how this stuff comes back to you. The one question I had for you, and I'm really curious if you guys, you know, what mechanisms of it you've noticed the biggest improvement, but I know they have that ability to collect reviews. So do you guys use that in Glacier, or are they getting to that portion where, you know, I know there's a couple different ways you can set it up where they get to see the photos and then they can leave you a review, or if they buy the photos. Explain that. Are you guys getting review collection out of your guys' PicThrive setup, or am I... Maybe I'm thinking about it wrong.
I actually haven't used the review component too extensively. Okay. Where I get the most value is actually through the analytics and insight of how many times the photos have been viewed.
Okay.
I think that the review collection's great. I just had an existing review platform that was already really woven into the business.
Because you get that email anyways with your booking. You know what I mean, beforehand.
Right.
So yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
But where I did get some great information was seeing how actually, you know, significant the engagement was to certain photos, and certain guides is another thing too. It actually helped us understand which guides are performing the best. You get reviews, that's great.
Yep.
You have your own opinions, but seeing who's really having the best time, even though they didn't tell you about it. If they go back and look at those photos a bunch, they're having a great time. And if I see that my top, you know, 2 of my top 5 albums are the same guide, that says something.
That's a good way to point on it too. We look at review collection too for some of our operators of just pointing things out that maybe they weren't aware while their tour guides are out there. You know what I mean? Like if you have a crabby tour guide, you know what I mean? The review collection's able to kind of do that, and then you can make adjustments in your business. That's a very good insight of what you're doing, of looking at probably like the most viewed albums, or you know what I mean, if people had a good time and seeing how many times that's a good point.
Are you incentivizing? Oh, I'm sorry. Go for it.
Yeah, you beat me to it. That's what I was going to say. We make it a contest too. We have fun with it. So we tell our guides, you know, whoever can sell the most photos this year, or in this, we actually do it 3 times a year. Whoever sells the most photos this month, you know, gets a prize, and we'll give them, you know, a couple $100 for having.
That sounds like that magical keyword. We'd like to add those into our podcast sometimes. When someone says something great with the insight, it's a good thing to do.
Yeah, I mean,
magic moments. You got to keep your staff motivated. They're who you build your whole income stream on.
Well, you also got 95 of them.
So I wanted to go back to that. I mean, 95 tour guides. You know, help me understand the metrics, because obviously you're in the business of selling tours. You're selling now photos. You've got a retail piece of this, so you're probably selling some merchandise to go with that. I mean, 95 tour guides. How many people are you guys running a year? Like, what's a good year of like people?
I'm hoping to run more than 35,000 people out of one office this year.
Holy shit. I mean,
the biggest thing too, it's going to the Sun Road and Glacier Park. It's Montana. We're real close to Canada. Canada's cold.
Sure.
So there's a lot of snow here, and the park doesn't get fully open until the first week of July usually. The Going to the Sun Road opens. So almost all of our business comes in July and August.
Wow.
So this isn't like 2 months you're going to run through. Because today, is there, I mean, stupidity.
I'll run 25 to 30 of those people in 25 to 30,000 of those people in July and August.
Is there if I wanted to go rafting today, do you have a tour?
No.
Oh, heck yeah.
Oh, you do?
Oh, do you? Okay.
Well, I'd rather take you fishing than rafting right now.
Sure, okay. I get it.
But yeah, we had 6 people go out the door on Saturday. They had a great time.
Oh, we just talked to somebody in North
the-
Dakota and it snowed, and so we knew
Yeah.
that. So it's like it might have snowed up there too.
I
but
bet that water's pretty brisk right now.
It's,
do you wear a
That's
wetsuit?
why I'd rather take you fishing.
Do you wear a wetsuit when you go rafting?
Yeah. It depends on the time of year. Because, July in northern Montana, it might also be 95 degrees.
Sure.
Yeah.
So we might have 40-some-odd degree water, but 90-degree air. So you
like
splash, dry off. It's kind of refreshing.
That's true. That's true.
So 30,000 people, you're taking, so help me understand a day. How does a tour go out, of a day? You guys, how many are you running a day? If you're running 30,000 people in 2 months, that's 4,000 people a day. No, that's horrible math. Nobody call me out on that. That's terrible math.
Not a day. 100 people a day. If you're going 30 days.
Well, that's 100
3,000.
people a day. That's only 3,000. They're running 30,000 and
Times. Oh yeah.
so that's 1,000 people a day, right? Close. Maybe.
It's close. Big day here would be 700-800 people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Please, none of
So
our
over
listeners
2
call
months,
me out on my math.
we'll fluctuate. You might have a 250-person day, and that's when everyone catches their breath, and they're like, "Oh my God, what an easy day!" And then the next day, you might run 750 people, and
Wow.
it looks a little crazy.
So how many times? Okay, so tell us a little fun facts. Like how many launches do you do then a day to run that through?
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, I think it's about 16 launches. So, and then our fishing trips are their own thing too. So we might have 10 Suburbans and or expeditions and fishing boats lined up the road at 8 a.m. every morning to go out fishing, and so we count those as each as their own trip. But the rafting trips, the half days and the full days, I think there's about 16 a day, going out about every half hour.
That's crazy.
That is. I mean, just the logistics of running that is insane. And I mean, and it's funny we're having this conversation because you sell photos. I want to dig into your guys' stuff. I want to wrap my head around how you run 1,000. Even at that 700 people a day, that's ridiculous. That's a lot of moving parts. It's a lot of people. That's a lot of a staff. We'll come back to that. Brandon, you're definitely coming back on the show because we have to dig into this. But
happy to.
So to that 700 people, you're taking all these photos. What's a good day of selling photos? Like how many of those people are buying photos?
So I try to measure my photo sales and actually all of my retail revenue. A lot of retail metrics center around like sales per square foot or average basket size. Most of the people who work in rafting retail stores do not have a retail background and might not be making a retail career out of it. So I try and make it really simple for them. So I measure our total retail sales based on dollars per head.
Okay.
So if I can get to about $7 a head in photo sales on a season, that's what I'm shooting for.
That's pretty solid extra money. That would
Super.
not be coming
You
in.
can do that math yourself.
Yes, I can. That I can do. I did that pretty quick. That's pretty solid extra money. I mean, you've been with PicThrive and you used it at your previous company that you came from, so you obviously have a lot of experience. But something had to push you to this. Like, is the photo sales always been a big thing carrying into the raft business, or how did you guys used to do it before PicThrive?
So photo sales and rafting has been around for longer than I have. They used to have, one of the companies I used to work for, I saw a light table, and I actually have a photojournalism degree, and so we used to spend my fair amount of time in the dark room, and I can't imagine shaking film between every trip.
Yeah.
But that's how they used to do it, and so they just print contact sheets or give people a loop of negatives on a light table. Not the most efficient system. But we started using PicThrive because back in about 2015, 2014, my owner at ABA was convinced that we needed to do something to capitalize on this whole imagery concept for the internet. Instagram's blowing up, super popular. Facebook, the whole world has now. And because, remember, this is 7-8 years ago, or 6 years ago. And even then, it was around, but it was really exciting, really popular. So maybe we need to just consider our photo sales marketing expense, and let's start giving them away. We need everybody to get photos so everybody can put it online, because who's your best marketer is your customer. You know, customer referrals have the highest conversion rates. So I looked at that and I was like, yeah, but you're telling me that I'm responsible for the business. And I agree that getting people in the door is great. But are you going to get, $250,000 in sales from these people? No. Like, we're going to spend the money to actually distribute it and engage with it and support it, plus the lost revenue. Yeah. That's a lot of money. Is there a way I can do this while still selling these pictures? And, essentially that's what PicThrive did for me. They found a way that I could get photos online, get them there easily, reduce my queue times in the retail store, and measure my engagement. Because that was the biggest hurdle for my boss. Dude worked, he's great at marketing, liked numbers too, and wants to see the results, and we're actually able to measure the results, and that was a big deal.
So like originally it was almost looked at like, hey, how do we break even? Like they were willing to take the photo, side of it as like a break even point or a loss, you know what I mean, to do it as marketing. But then it's kind of like, hey, we're onto something here, you know what I mean? Or PicThrive kind of noticed that as well. Like, hey, you can make some additional revenue, but also too with the digital age, just like what we do, you're able to capture some analytics, you know what I mean, and some of the marketing side, or for an agency to put profiles, you know what I mean, into it too. That's what we were talking about beforehand, of like, how we can use it as an agency, making marketing campaigns, not only with the redistribution of the photos. PicThrive, you know what I mean, you can use, certain marketing campaigns with it to look at the different albums, see what your most viewed photos are, different seasons, stuff like that as well too, and you can gain some of the analytics off of it. So that's pretty neat.
I think I have the same apprehensions though that I know a lot of you guys have, and I know PicThrive has addressed some of these, but when you're running that many people, how are you collecting these photos? Like how have you guys simplified the process? Because I think everybody and their brother wants to be in the business of selling photos, but they all struggle with how do we make this as pain-free as possible to collect the photos to get them into PicThrive?
Yeah, what did you guys used to do before this? Tell us that part of it then.
Yeah, so it's made it very pain-free. Because the way I could probably tell you a number of stories, but one thing I'll tell you, back on the the Colorado River when I was down there, what we would do is we'd work with a photographer. They'd be up on this cliffside that the river flows through a canyon, so the easiest way for them to get a good photo was this high shot up on the cliff. So they take photos, maybe take photos of the put-in, go to the cliff, shoot photos of the boats floating down the river. Then they take the memory card out, put it in a case, put it in a waterproof box, put that inside of a Nerf football, and then huck the Nerf football down the canyon to one of the raft guides who'd catch it on his boat. They usually like to make a game out of it. Too bad we couldn't get photos of that. Then they'd float it down with them with the trip, pass it off to the bus driver. Everybody'd pile on the bus. They'd get the boats on. When they got back, the bus driver would park, let everybody off, but he'd run off, go pass the photo card to a retail agent inside. Our retail salesperson would then take the pictures, download them to a computer as fast as they could, then sort them into boats, then put them onto a thumb drive, then go plug a thumb drive into a TV, and try and get the slideshow started before the customers were dried off and leaving.
Yeah.
That's challenging.
That's funny. Have you ever seen when they tied like those GoPros to those footballs and stuff like that and throw them on the internet, on, like YouTube and stuff? That's kind of funny. That almost be a fun experience. That almost be a cool actually marketing video if you actually did do that on the raft. Kind of make it follow the customer experience, but put the photos, and then that'd be kind of cool actually.
Yeah. I'm intrigued. I don't even get how you guys get to this point. I mean, I can see that. That's how everybody would start, and then now, burning them to CD-ROMs back in the day because that's the only option you had. This has got to make things a little bit easier. Can you walk us through, like, how are you guys doing it today? How is somebody getting their photos? How do you guys collect these photos? Help me, obviously other operators are going to hear this. So tell us how we start this.
Yeah, so for us, based on our kind of internet situation, we're in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
We still hand off that card. We don't toss the football, but we do pass it over to the driver, or actually, rather, the photographer runs it back up here. But we get it onto the PicThrive platform at that point. So there's no more thumb drives, no more download, upload. It just goes straight up. And from there, anyone from any computer can log in and sort things out if we need to rearrange it, label the trip, and then it's ready to go. So the customers come back. There's tablets around the room.
Yeah. Do you see a lot of purchases? Like, what's your analytics on that? On purchases 35 minutes after the trip compared to purchases 2 days after?
Significantly more purchases are same day, but as compared to the past, before we had PicThrive, through the roof for 2 days later conversions. And then you also have the opportunity to look at other sales opportunities. We can remind people that, hey, you went rafting, and you know what grandma would love? Pictures from your trip. So since you didn't buy them, it's Christmas time.
Yeah.
And I keep selling
so we can send them that link again.
Yeah, keep selling them down the road too. Yeah, that's
genius.
You didn't think about that? That's
I haven't, but I'm not in one of those spaces.
Yeah,
I
that's
wish
true.
We need to have Kevin on here because he came from that parasailing. So I mean, I know who they sell to. They sell to all these skydivers, parasailing, whitewater rafting guys.
And that's even to us talking to PicThrive and stuff like that before we brought you on. You know what I mean? It makes sense for marketing agencies to do cool stuff with that content. You know what I mean as well. Like exactly like what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like we do monthly email blast for Jeep tours and ATV tours. It's like, yeah, that's a great thing to add into your monthly email campaigns to send to your customers. You know what I mean? Especially when you have that data profile or that analytics of that customer, and then say, hey, you know what I mean? It's Christmas time.
I would imagine your guys' agency just loves the fact that you guys have this. They never have to fight for content. They're never begging you to send them new stuff. You've just got an endless supply of photos.
Yeah, so I actually just hired a new marketing coordinator here. Okay. And the first thing I did was give her a login to PicThrive and said,
here you
go learn what we do. Go look at all the pictures and see what you've got for content, And honestly, I know what lives in there, but, go find 100 good pictures and add them to your library.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's always what we do when we're doing, like, new website builds and stuff like that, too. It's like, hey, where are we going to get some of these photos from? Where are we going to get some of this content from to tell your story?
And there's a lot of operators that have amazing businesses but no strategy to, A, collect content, and B, you guys have built a separate business model. And in fact, you guys are doing more in almost photo sales than, there's some operators doing in their small businesses. So this seems like a pretty bulletproof way to add this in. So do you guys have this integrated into your guys' booking engine? I know they have a few different ways of doing this with a direct integration, or is it all on the side? I don't know how to best ask
Yes,
that.
it's integrated. So we do a couple pieces to circle back on the marketing point too. Access to the photos. A lot of people are creating that content, but the people putting together marketing don't have access to it because it lives on a single hard drive in a remote location because that's where the rafting is. That's where the activity is. But if your marketing team is either an agency or you have a different office where like your admin people work, PicThrive lets them access it. And so you can see same day what's going on. That live updates to use new, fresh content is great. I don't have to send someone in a car for 2 hours to go take a picture to post on Instagram today. I say, log into PicThrive, pull down the best looking picture, and go post something interesting. But as far as sorry, what was the question again there? I got too excited about the access.
No, I think it's great. I mean, as far as I love how you guys are using it on the marketing side. The idea of being able to keep selling these, and I would be very interested to learn how they sell down the road, like where you're saying, send these to grandma for Christmas or send as a reminder. Obviously, those numbers drop down significantly, but it's still like just drip in email or, drip in revenue that was never anticipated and anything you book is just extra cash flow coming in the door.
Right.
Question was about the booking engine. That's what it was, integrating it with
yes.
Yeah. Where you...
So we do two different things. One, you can book or you can buy your photos after your trip at the point of sale.
Yep.
You can book them either through the tablet that you're actually viewing them on, or you can walk up to our retail person or checkout and purchase them that way. Or when you book your trip online or over the phone, online we actually have a pop-up as you're checking out that just says, "Hey, do you want to add pictures to this?"
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
And we say yes, or the customer says yes, and it gets added, and then operations or retail knows to just attach those photos, or they get the link, and you can. So that's one thing you can do is you can automate it so when they buy that online pre-sale, they can get a token, is what we call it.
Sure.
And PicThrive, and it allows them to download their photos from PicThrive, and they just paste that token in. Now, sometimes they forget that, but I can look up that token right away. Or I can send them a new one and deactivate the old one. It's pretty easy to manage. You don't have to worry about customers having that vacation brain.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wonder. I mean, yeah, is that kind of like the token thing's kind of like also like a promo code, like, hey, save 5% on your photos if you pre-buy or something like that, maybe? Or
Yep. So we do 10%.
Yeah.
Save we do $10, 20%.
yeah,
There you go.
yeah, get it some off. Yeah.
That's neat.
So,
I mean,
and every one of our reservations agents asks people when they call in to book, before they hang up, do you want to add photos to this? You save 20% when you buy them now.
Kind of like your bag at the airport.
I am curious because you guys are in the space and doing the volume what you are. I mean, what is the split between online reservations and over the phone?
We were talking about this yesterday. More on the phone than I'd like it to be.
Sure.
I think we're sitting at about 60-40.
Sure.
60 phone. I'd like to get it down to 50-50 or 45-55. We do have some pretty complex lodging bookings and overnight trips, and that
Those are always
is
going to happen
sometimes
over
just
the phone.
better done on the phone. But if it was all simple half days and full days, my goal would be to get it to 70-30 online.
I hear your struggles. I
Yeah.
mean, we've got some operators that do some pretty large volume and like ATV tours and stuff. And same argument. I mean, it's probably 60-40 or 50-50. They're definitely not doing as much online as they'd want, because I think the more advanced or the more in-depth your stuff gets, the more people just want to talk to a live human on the phone. And I would bet your guys' sales of photos happens significantly higher over the phone than it does online.
It's a pretty similar conversion rate.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good. It means obviously your guys' like booking flow is functioning properly. I would be, there's always something about having that person on the phone to hard pitch you a little bit of like, hey, do you want to add those photos? But I get it. That's cool. This is,
if I had the same reservation staff 12 months a year for 5 years, I guarantee that the conversion rate would be higher on the phone. But it's just one of the challenges of the business. You get a lot of younger people who are using the job the same way I did when I was younger, and so they've got a lot of time to learn. So sometimes your online platform can be very consistent. It's a computer. It's always going to be the same thing. We try to make our people the same thing every time, and that's a whole nother topic we could get into.
Absolutely.
But I
Phone
think outdoor
scripts
operators don't spend enough time on training.
So before we kind of let you go and kind of wrap up things, I mean, I kind of have a couple end questions or some predictions for you, especially in the tech space and the tour space. Pictures, kind of a nostalgic thing, right? You know what I mean? Like everybody's talking about videos, everything like that. Do you see people just still enjoy pictures? You know what I mean? Rather than like the video side. I think they do too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I mentioned the tablets, but we also put big screens up, like 30-inch TVs in a couple spots, and just run a slideshow after each trip, and 30 people will gather around those things just to watch the slideshow.
just to watch the pictures. You know what I mean, too.
Yeah.
And like it's something. I mean, not to sound cheesy or corny, you know, pictures that describe a million words or whatever. You know what I mean? However they say, but it is.
I think people love it.
It's like I'm looking at like some of the pictures on like the websites or some of these photo galleries, and it's like sometimes a good old fashioned picture is better than like a put together video.
I don't know. Maybe I'd argue that with you, but
Well,
I mean, I think that there's so many people that live and die by that like Instagram life now, and I would imagine, like, what's your guys' average age? Client, customer. I'm not trying to have you dispel all your secrets, but I mean,
About 45.
oh wow, okay, so that's honestly older than I was gonna guess.
Yeah.
You got to think about who's planning vacations and who's
Mom and dads. Yeah.
buying vacations.
Yeah.
I got you.
Okay, and then another thing for you, like any predictions, like, you know what I mean, anything like with, you know what I mean, tech. I mean, we had the crazy year of, you know what I mean, last year in 2020. Where do you see yourself in like 10 years? Like, where do you see your industry in 10 years, 15 years down the road?
Oh man, so
No pressure behind that one.
but yeah, 10 years. That's a long time, especially for technology.
How about
Yeah.
even 5? What can you do in 5?
And well, I think we're going to see some consolidation of booking platforms. There are so many options out there, and it's just not going to happen. We've already seen some acquisitions and some things get folded together. I think that's going to continue.
Yep.
And I think photos will remain relevant. You know, people tried to tell me 10 years ago that people weren't going to buy photos anymore, and it was all about video, or they could take their photos on their own phone. I think photos are going to stay relevant. And we have to remember what we're selling in this industry. We're not selling just activities. We're selling an experience and an emotion. And like you said, you know, photos still do something for people.
Yeah.
Because you get that emotional response to a photo.
Yep.
And that's what our trips are too. It's an emotional experience. It's an emotional response. They don't remember that they saw, you know, this bald eagle fly over. They remember how they felt when they saw it.
Yeah.
And so I think that's, you know, we could talk about technology, but what drives the technological innovations? Money, but it's that emotion, that experience, that why. Why are we doing what we do?
You know what I love about why I think why you got in the industry and why you are where you are. It's kind of the same reason why I love the tourism space. I mean, you know, you're dealing with people that are coming to you to have a good time. Their entire reason for visiting your business and choosing you is because they're looking for a positive experience, and it's your guys' job to deliver it. You know, very rarely are people showing up like mad at the world. They're coming to just have a great time on vacation, and your guys' job is just to make sure that happens. So I applaud you. This is great. This has been very, very interesting. I hope we can have you get back on sometime sooner than later, because, I mean, you guys run a lot of damn people through it. That's pretty insane. That's way more people than I ever would have guessed. So you start talking 30,000 people a year. That's insane.
We have a lot of fun doing it, and I couldn't have said it better myself. What you just said there is key. Why we do it, and everybody's trying to have a good time.
Cool.
Well, Brandon, again, thank you for coming on. Our conversation about PicThrive was awesome. We're glad you chatted with us, and
yeah, we'll definitely bring you back on again. And for anybody else that wants to check out Glacier Raft Company, make sure you guys go to it, visit them online. Glacier Raft Company. Brandon, thank you for coming on. Thanks you for also for talking about PicThrive. If you guys want to learn more about PicThrive, we are going to be putting this link in the bottom of the description here. And hit us up here at AMP Agency. Thanks again for listening. If you guys have any questions about PicThrive, we are more than happy to introduce you guys to the right people. Brandon, I think, gives a pretty good review as a operator and general manager for the company, and I think it makes sense for a lot of people's businesses. So thanks again for being on, Brandon, and thank you guys all for listening. We'll see you guys next time here on the AMP Podcast, Adventure and Activity Marketing Pros. Everybody be safe out there, and tune in, listen, and check out the links in the bio.